She came down here, fell in love with the turtles, fell in love with the island, and started the organization out of her house. And she had tanks in her backyard, and people would come into her backyard and she'd do presentations. Now, Isla was a very interesting woman. She actually was one of the original 99, so she was the first licensed female pilot in both Iowa and Illinois. She's very adventurous. And when she came down here and started the organization, one of the things that she used to do to kind of get people's attention and to get people to visit was she used to protect nests on the beach during the spring and summer, and then we educate the public about the turtles that are in our facility. When a turtle gets sick or injured, they strand on the beach, so they just kind of wash up. Now, if you've ever been to Hawaii, you may have seen turtles like coming out of the water and basking. There are a lot of reasons that turtles come in, but I'm going to outline the most common injuries. You're going to see a lot of turtles today that are missing flippers, and sometimes that's because of predator attacks. Now, a predator is basically anything bigger than the turtle, so when they're little babies like this guy, it can be fish, crabs, seagulls, pelicans, and when they get bigger, it's mostly sharks. Flippers do not grow back. However, if the turtle still has 75% of its flippers, so if it still has 3 fully functioning flippers, they usually can still go back to the ocean. If it has less than that, they can't. It's one of those big ones. So marine debris is a fancy word for trash. We see a lot of turtles coming in because they're pooping out plastic. This is a stool sample. Those are balloons. So, when you release balloons up in the air, what goes up must come down. We have 2 patients in here today that have pooped out balloons. We have 2 or 3 patients that have pooped out chunks of plastic. We have turtles that get caught up in ropes and onion sacks. I don't really know who's eating all these onions in the ocean, but onion sacks are a very common type of trash that we see in the water, and we get a lot of turtles that get washed up because they're entangled in onion sacks. Catching a turtle you're not meaning to. Most of the time the turtle is not what the fishermen are going after, but they do end up catching them. A lot of our turtles, so in this case, get caught up in fishing line that's left behind. So it's not active fishing line, it's stuff that people have gotten snagged or left behind. It is hard to avoid, but please make sure that if you're fishing, don't leave lines and nets and things where they can just be in the water and tangle up turtles. Both of these turtles did not make it. These are both dead turtles. Then sometimes turtles can get caught up in fishing line that is active, or they might swallow a hook or go after the same bait that the turtles or the fishermen are using for fish. Turtles like that stuff too. So if you do accidentally catch a sea turtle, just let us know. We'll come down, we'll remove the hook, and typically those turtles can go back right away. But we do want to know. I see one turtle today that has a crack in the shell. Now the shell actually is made up of the ribs and backbone of the turtle. I'm kind of far away, but we'll grab our shell here. So this is our big old shell. It is painted. Typically turtles are not pink on the inside, but you can see there's the backbone and there's the beautiful rib bone. So when you get a turtle that gets hit by a boat, you're breaking bones and you can possibly be penetrating organs and things like that. So that typically is a pretty severe injury, but bones can be healed. A lot of times we have success with turtles using zip ties. So we'll actually try to zip tie the shell back together, stabilize those bones, and encourage them to heal. He's a pretty big turtle. He's got a big weight on his back because a lot of times with these boat injuries, we get buoyancy problems. So the turtles get air trapped under their shell and they have trouble getting down. So we put weights on their back and then we gradually shave off parts of the weight until the turtle kind of corrects its buoyancy issue on its own. So you will see one big turtle with kind of a boat strike and then a little square underneath. We figure out what's wrong with the turtle, and then these are just some of the things we can do, like x-rays. We do have therapeutic lasers. We can do major surgeries at the Gladys Porter Zoo in Brownsville, and we even have a cutting laser, a CO2 laser that we use to cut off the tumors that some of these turtles have. Do end up going back to the ocean. So right now we have 6 non-releasable turtles, and we have 15 releasable turtles. So as you're walking around, there are signs on each tank that say why the turtles are here, what happened to them, and if they're releasable. The species you will see the most of today is the green turtle. So if you look at our breakdown down here, you see we have 12 releasable green sea turtles and 3 non-releasable, whereas we only have 1 Ridley and 2 hawksbill. So this is kind of the breakdown of the number of turtles we have here. Green turtles are very popular in this area, not because they nest here, but because we've got that big old bay, the Laguna Madre. So you crossed a causeway to get here. That causeway didn't actually go over the Gulf, it went over a laguna, a bay. It's called the Laguna Madre. It's a hypersaline bay, which means it's actually saltier than the Gulf. And it is full of seaweed and seagrasses, which happens to be the green turtle's favorite food. And we like to use the green turtle to teach young kids a lesson. Green turtles eat mostly lettuce, seaweeds, and seagrasses, and they can live over 100 years. So always a reason you should eat your vegetables. For camouflaging themselves, at least one in Hang 10 that's over on that wall over there. Now, Kempsford-Lees are the turtles that nest here in South Padre Island. So they only nest in southern Texas and northern Mexico. So basically from Galveston to Veracruz, more or less, is where these turtles lay their eggs. They are the smallest species of sea turtles. They only get about this big around. And their favorite food is the blue crab, so you might have that in common with them. And we're really lucky because these guys are a daytime nester. So they nest in broad daylight, so we don't have to patrol at nighttime. Dig a hole in the sand and she's going to lay eggs. Now, the eggs are about the size of a ping pong ball and they average about 100 eggs per nest, but I've seen up to 139. Now, once mama turtle lays her eggs, she goes back into the water and she never comes back. So mama turtles do not sit on their nests like little ducks or anything like that. She has 100 at a time, so who can blame them, right? Styrofoam cooler. We transport them to a new location. We redig their nest cavity and we rebury the eggs. And we do all this in a corral. Now this is a corral in Mexico. We get about 30 to 70 nests a year here, so we're a low density. You guys can all say, oh, go ahead. Oh, right, they're adorable. They're 16 to 19 grams when they're born, so they're a little bigger than a silver dollar. Now, in a perfect natural world, these little babies would bubble up out of the sand, they'd look around, they'd see the moon reflecting off the water, and they'd know that that's the brightest light, and so they'd scuttle down the sand into the water and they'd start their life cycle. But otherwise. Every once in a while, these little babies hatch between 5 and 6 in the morning, right? Now, what's happening at around 6 o'clock, 6:30? The sun's starting to peak up, right? That sun is going to be the brightest light. Not going to be any light brighter than the sun. So when we have early morning hatchings, we do what's called a public release. And so we will text all of our members. We will put it out on Facebook. We're going to say, hey, we're going to have a public release. It's going to be at 6:30 at County Access 3. And anybody that's in the area can come out to in town for it. Unfortunately, we cannot predict exactly. Usually we can predict within 4 to 5 days when the babies are going to hatch, but we can't predict exactly. So you do kind of have to lay eggs outside of that range. But all of these places in the blue are all the places in the world where Kempsford-Lees have been found navigating in the water. So they can migrate all around the world, but in 15 years or so, when they're ready to be mamas and papas, those little babies are going to be bigger. They're going to congregate offshore to breed, and the mamas typically is this right here. They have a brain that's about the size of a grape. So imagine migrating all around the world. And in fact, they have a very big, they actually like to hang out around the Cape Cod area, which is not exactly where you are, but kind of close to the Netherlands. So they're even over there. Please, please, please pick up trash. We have a huge trash problem in our ocean. We see it in our turtles here all the time, the plastics that they're eating. You guys are our eyes. We have 9 full-time staff members that work here. We can't be on every part of the beach at every time, or at all times, so we depend on you guys. Again, we love our fishermen, but fishing line can be damaging to turtles, so please make sure your discarded lines, waters, discarded line nets, crab traps, all of these things are exactly voting weather right now, but some of you will be here for a while. Take it slow, watch for turtles. Don't forget, they're not just in the Gulf, they're also all the way up to one of our permanent residents. Anything you buy from our gift shop does come back to our organism. So shallow, it drops temperature very quickly. The Gulf changes a little less dramatically.
I brought some water, a bottle of water, you can drink that.
Driving on the beach at South Padre Island.
Keep your eyes open.
I could not do this comfortably. I get nervous the whole way.